Foxes have holes, birds have nests, and wasps have figs? Figs have been a staple of the human diet for thousands of years. But we share that culinary attraction with an unlikely friend, a wasp. The appropriately named fig wasp spends most of her time finding fruiting figs for fraternal fraternization. But even a seemingly charmed life on the fruit-based housing market comes with a certain level of disturbing barbarity when wasps get involved in life, death, and taxonomy. Welcome back to Life, Death, and Taxonomy. It's your 30 minutes of interesting animal information. I'm Joe.
And I'm Carlos.
Thank you to Cassie for the creation of our theme song. To hear more of Cassie's music, please search Cassie Michelle on YouTube or Spotify.
And thank you to Johanna for the creation of this week's artwork. To check that out, you can visit us at our home on the web at lttaxonomy.com. And a very special thank you to our patrons, to Jesse Raspolich, Carol Raspolich, Richard Kaspar, Lottie Aubrey, and Gray Hughes. Thank you so much for your support. It's greatly appreciated. Thanks for helping us keep the lights on.
And today we're talking about a fig's friend for real, but more on that later.
Yeah, we're talking about the fig wasp.
You know, every time I get to the end of that little blurb and there's a pause, I'm always like, PTSD from times gone by. Are we doing the right one? Are we on the same page?
Just, despite all the talking we do before starting, we do not talk about the animal. We never talk about the animal.
Yeah, because then you're ruining it. You're talking about the animal before we're supposed to be.
Yeah, but we don't even square up on if we've researched the right animal. It's not,
I mean, we should 9 times out of 10, even
I would say 19 times
99
out of 20.
times out of 100, yeah.
Yeah.
We get it right because it's a list. We have a list. But every once in a while, somebody reads the list wrong or something.
Yeah.
Mistakes happen. Humans be humans. But
this time we did it right. Fig wasp.
Yes, we're talking about the fig wasp.
For some reason, no one's college football mascot is the fig wasps.
That's what Washington should have named there instead of the
Washington football team.
Generals. Yeah, then it was the Generals, I think, or the Commanders. Should have been the Washington Fig Wasps.
I mean, it's the FAU burrowing owls. Like, you can get specific.
I mean, it's not. The mascot is technically not a burrowing owl, but it's inspired by burrowing owls. Because the mascot, like the iconography, has the tufts of ears, and burrowing owls don't have that.
Oh,
and they will
right.
bring a big owl like on somebody's arm, and it's not a burrowing owl. It's like a huge barn owl or something.
I was like, yeah, interesting. Like screech owl. Yeah, I guess they do have the tufts of ears, and burrowing owls don't. So never mind. You can't get specific. It's just owls, or it's just wasps. And I think there is a wasp team. Mm-hmm. Or there's the hornets. Yeah, there's.
Yes.
I don't know what sport or place that is. I just know there are hornets.
Oh, I was gonna play this TikTok I saw, but it's a simple concept. There's a guy who's like he's reading like a post on Tumblr or something or Twitter, and he's like, "What if we just named our sports team after the most populous species in the sports team's area?" And then there's a list, and it was like
all mosquitoes.
New York ants, Cincinnati ants, Washington ants.
I mean, you could do different ants. Like this like the New York carpenter ants, the Tampa Bay fire ants, the Bolivian bullet ants. You know, all the good stuff.
Yeah. Uh,
Believe it or not, we're
would you
talking
like
about
to
fig wasps.
tell
Well,
me what
but-
you call this?
Yeah, it's so we're gonna call it here a fig house
Mm.
with lots and lots of rooms, and figs in a blanket.
That's pretty funny. I don't know that it's like the most like ingenious one we've done, but it's funny to me.
I thought fig house was better. Figs in a blanket
Speaking
was a throwaway.
of figs in a blanket, in California at one of Johanna's relatives' house, we had dates wrapped in bacon and like, with a honey glaze, and it was delicious. And now Johanna's mom makes it all the time. So that's kind of like figs in a blanket. It's close to figs in a blanket.
Are dates close to figs?
Well, in that they are
think so.
fruit wrapped in meat. If you wanted that, although pigs in a blanket isn't wrapped in bacon. It's wrapped in carbs. Right?
It's wrapped in just pure
Croissant.
bliss. It's
Everything is wrong with this analogy.
It's salt in the form in Power Ranger take form of little sausage weenie wrapped in just cake. So I'll take it. I love pigs in a blanket, man. Now I'm hungry. But I don't want figs in a blanket. Or I don't know if I don't think I've ever had a fig. Like a just the actual fruit itself. I've had like fig Newtons.
Right.
And my kids eat like a healthy version of fig Newtons every single day. So I'm around fig a lot.
The idea of a fig Newton gives me heartburn.
I like fig Newtons.
I mean, I like them.
I don't really
It's
like
like
the ones that my
basketball.
kids eat. But,
I like it, but it's just not for me.
That's fine. You know, to each his own fig. But let's taxonomize this wasp while we're here, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's in a kingdom you know, love, and are in. That kingdom is Animalia. The phylum is Arthropoda. It has an exoskeleton. The class is Insecta. 6 legs, head, thorax and abdomen. Abdomen and thorax. The order is Hymenoptera. Which is also ants, I believe. Yeah. Wasps, bees, and ants. Which, if you look at a picture of this thing, is not far-fetched. The family is Agaonidae. Agaonidae. The genus is Blastophaga or Blastophaga. We'll go with the first one.
Mm-hmm.
The species is Senes, but with a P at the front to throw you off at the spelling bee. Just pretend it's not there. But yeah, so the binomial nomenclature is Blastophaga
Blastoise.
Senes. Blastophaga Senes. Which brings us to, since we're in the business of naming things, it's time for my favorite part of the show. Critter groups. Part of the show where I ask you Joe a question, and the question is the same every time. What is a name of well, I can't even remember what I said because we haven't done critter groups in a little while. What is the name of a group of this animal, or what is the term of venery, or what is the collective noun? If you saw a group of wasps, what would you call it? Would you call it A, a flight of wasps? B, a needle of wasps? Man, I'm going to be all over this episode. C, a brigade of wasps? Or D, a dive of wasps? By the way, there's a book that I read the kids very often. For a while, we read it every night. And it's called The Giant Jam Sandwich. It's like from the 60s or something like that. And it's about a town where 4 million wasps fly in and start stinging everybody. And in order to get all the wasps, they make a giant jam sandwich. And the wasps come and eat it and get stuck. And then they bring down the other slice of the sandwich and trap all the wasps in there, and then the birds eat it. And then the town is free of the wasps. So as I'm reading it, I have to say wasps like 40 times. And I'm sure that I'll break that record here. So, flight, needle, brigade, or dive of wasps?
A needle of wasps. Final answer.
That is incorrect. The answer is flight. It's a
like the flight of the bumblebee.
The flight of the wasp, of the fig wasp. Yes.
Garbage. Just, it should have been needle. That was a better one.
I was literally thinking of bee drill when I put needle in there because its signature move is twin needle. So
we should, when are we going to have enough clout where we can just decide what the term of venery is? Because that seems to be just somebody on the internet, not particularly famous, just somebody on Reddit decides these things. So why can't it be us? It's needle now. It's a needle of wasps.
There is a collectivenouns.com website where that comes from.
I'm sure that's not a .gov website.
No, I have not found a .gov website for these kinds of things.
Or even a .edu or even a .org. Before
I switched over to, rotating in nitty-gritty nomenclature, I was like using Twitter posts. Like, okay, you tell me what I saw as the most common term of venery for this animal. Which is, it's rough. I get it. So, but this is, if it's on collectivenouns.com, I think you can trust it. It is the internet after all. But let's talk about what this looks like. The fig wasp. It is a tiny black wasp with a shiny carapace. Males don't have wings, but females have these thin, transparent wings. They have 2 long antennae. They pretty much look like ants. If you see a picture of them, it just looks like ants. Some of them can have wings and can fly, and some of them can't.
Are pretty closely related.
Well, they're in the same order. That's where it ends, though. Ants branch off.
I think genetically they're close.
Oh, are they? And then wasps just started terrorizing ants and parasitizing them. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so if you saw a bunch of fig wasps, you would be forgiven for thinking it was just a bunch of ants. Because a lot of ants can fly. So just because some of them have wings doesn't mean that you're not looking at a bunch of ants. But they are very tiny for wasps. How tiny are they?
Great question. Welcome to the Beloved Measure Up segment, the official listener's favorite part of the show. The part of the show when we present the animal size and dimensions in relatable terms through a quiz that's fun for the whole family. It's also part of the show that's introduced by you when you send an audio yourself saying, singing, or chittering. The words measure up into ldtaxonomy@gmail.com. We don't have a new measure up show this week. I wish we did, because there are very few things to choose from when we choose a animal from pop culture, and Carlos has to guess which one it is.
Is it the Nasonex bee?
No, it's a wasp.
Do you think? I don't know. Maybe it's. I don't know. You try to say that all in one breath, but maybe people aren't grasping exactly just how easy it is to send in a measure up. You just go on your phone, and you go to the voice memo thing if you have an iPhone. I don't know what it is on the plebeian devices. And you just say measure up into it. Measure up. And then you stop recording. And then there's a little box that says share. And you share that and send it to ldtaxonomy@gmail.com. And you're done.
Mm-hmm.
You could do this all in less than a minute.
You could.
So we would love to hear from you.
Just say measure up.
Yeah.
And
it doesn't have to be
some
some people go, above and beyond the Call of Duty and make some really, really fun and fantastic ones. But all we want to hear is measure up. So we love them all.
Yeah. Without further ado, the listener's favorite part of the. What do you want? Do you have a pre-guess?
Oh yeah, the Nasonex bee. That's not a wasp though. I don't really have. I don't know if there's a wasp in like the ant bully or something like that.
Well, without further ado, the listener's favorite part of the show.
Wow. If it hadn't been for the mention of the word MODOK, I would have been completely lost. But I forgot that there's a Marvel character named Wasp.
Yes.
They made like 3 movies about it, and I can't.
And I
most forgettable character.
Searched YouTube for any memorable line from the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies. And wouldn't you know it, there's a dearth of memorable Wasp lines in those movies.
Wouldn't you know it, there's a dearth of memorable Marvel Cinematic Universe lines after 2019. So, although I think Ant-Man and Wasp was from before that. It must have been.
Yeah.
But man, talk about forgettable.
It's the most medium. It's extremely medium.
It's movie. Very vanilla. It's aggressively medium. Aggressively in the middle.
It exudes medium-ness.
It's as there as it can possibly be. So,
yeah. It was.
But what you just showed must have been from like a cartoon or something, or from like
the Avengers,
the Marvel Ultimate Alliance or something.
Yeah, Marvel's Avengers for fun. I don't know the name. I can't remember the name of it. But.
Marvel's Avengers for fun. The bad guys want to take away fun. They're Earth's mightiest heroes. I'm so happy they're here. That
actually might be the name of the show. Yeah. Let's talk about length. They're 2 millimeters or 0.079 inches. They're quite small. So how many fig wasps go into the distance traveled in the Apostle Paul's missionary journeys?
All of them? All 3 or 4?
Yes. Here's a hint. Paul, 3 or 4 is the exact right amount. Here's a hint. Paul went on 3 missionary journeys and was also taken to Rome, where he continued to write letters. So I think after he was arrested and taken to Rome. So yes, 3 or 4 is the right answer. 3 intentional ones and 1 where he was taken on a journey against his will. But I'm sure he was. It
wasn't against his will. He A, was told that he was going to go to Rome by an angel, and B, appealed to Caesar on his own volition. So it's his fault he went to Rome.
That's true. He did. So I guess it is. They're all 3 were intentional. So he traveled on foot by ship around the Mediterranean. He traveled on foot and by ship around the Mediterranean, visiting Cyprus, Antioch, Iconium, Lystra, Perga, Athens, Ephesus, and Derbe, among others.
Yeah, there's like 3 different Antiochs he goes to or something like that. It's really confusing.
Well, he goes to Antioch like 3 times.
No, there's one just north of Palestine, and then there's one like all the way in the like western part of Asia Minor. So at Antioch at like Pisidia or something like that. I forgot what it was called. But okay, I have no idea how far this is. It's 3 very long circuitous routes. In an area of the world I know.
Circuitous route is my favorite Star Wars character.
That's a bounty hunter name for sure.
Salacious Crumb's cousin.
Did you just come up with salacious crumbs? Or is
No,
that a thing?
that's a real. The little, Jabba the Hutt. He's got the little like monkey gremlin.
His
That
name
little
is
monkey gremlin is Salacious
Crumbs?
Crumb. Yes.
No, I thought it was something else.
No, it's that. We've talked about this on the podcast, I think.
Salacious Crumbs. Oh, that makes a lot more sense. That Securitas route would be his best friend or something like that. That's like a Benedict Cumberbatch thing where you could just take that name and go for miles with it. How many miles, though? How many miles did Paul walk? Psh, I don't know. I'm going to say... 500. Because if he went 500 more, he would fall down at the door. Yeah.
Just to preach the gospel tonight. That's a different song.
Yeah, it is a different song. I mean, they are the Proclaimers, aren't they? the I would walk 500 miles song. I forget. I don't even know what it's called. I would walk 500 miles and yeah, they are that is the Proclaimers. So that makes perfect sense.
Huh.
Okay. Once again, I am drawn. I have to thank Remember the Titans for permanently allowing me to remember that there are 5,280 feet in a mile. And that's me thanking a sports movie for something. So, the answer is 401 million. That seems like there's no way it's the case. But that is how many wasps go into 500 miles.
Final answer.
So that's what we're going with. It seems like way too low, but we'll go with that.
The correct answer is 8 million.
What?
Wasp. 8 billion. 8 billion. 8 billion.
That makes a lot more sense.
It is estimated that Paul traveled a combined 10,000 miles.
Wow. I guess I kind of forgot about the ship part.
Ship travel really helps.
Yeah.
But he traveled
I was thinking like, 500
foot.
miles is a long way to go, like on foot over the course of any period of time, let alone like the 10 or so years that he was.
Did he only take a ship in the first missionary journey? And was that the one where he like shipwrecked?
No, he shipwrecked on the way to Rome.
Walking? Oh, that's right.
But he took they took ships, I think, on all the missionary journeys, either there or back. I want to say maybe one of them not. I in my Reformation Study Bible, I wish they had more maps of more things, but they've devoted most of the maps to Paul's missionary journeys. So I have looked at those quite extensively. But I just didn't measure the distance.
Well, let's talk about flight distance. Speaking of distance, females will fly up to 6 miles in search of a place to lay their eggs. A place to lay their eggs down to sleep. How many of the longest recorded chicken flights go into the flight of the fig wasp?
A chicken flight.
That sounds like
sounds delicious.
It sounds like a bunch of different flavors of chicken wings on like a plank of wood.
On a paddle, yeah.
Yeah. Here's a hint. Despite the lessons we learned in Chicken Run, chickens can actually fly. But not very well. And the Chicken Run chickens probably can't because they just have arms. They don't even have wings.
Yeah, and they're They need thrust. They came out with a sequel to Chicken Run. I'm kind of interested in looking and watching.
They're ground birds at heart, but they are more upperly mobile than a penguin. So there's that.
I could see them. I mean, they get up on places.
That's
obviously
true.
a penguin or an ostrich can't do that. But I don't see them like soaring through the skies.
Yeah, I'm imagining like a haphazard flap, furious flappage.
Yeah, a lot of effort. Definitely not supposed to be doing what they're doing, but they can. Like a human swimming. Like we're not supposed to be there.
But we can.
And for most people, it's a lot of effort to not go very fast or very far. Okay, I'm gonna say 100 yards because that to me that would just be really impressive. It could just be like 12 feet, but a football field just seems like the right amount in my heart. Which is where a lot of the cholesterol from the chicken I eat goes. Okay. We're still talking about the length of these guys. Same metric.
Now we're talking about the flight distance, 6 miles.
Oh, flight distance is 6 miles. Okay, whoa. So, you say how many
chicken flights?
Oh, how many chicken flights go into? Okay.
Cold beer on a Friday night, pair of jeans that fits just right.
It's a chicken flight. Hey, that's the one country song that if you've to me that's the if you've heard one, you've heard them all. Like that's it. That's the song. That's the only country song that I'll like listen to.
Well, there's two kinds of country. There's fried chicken, trucks and dogs country, and there's
I shot somebody and now I'm going to hang for him.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes. There's that's the bluegrass version.
Spectrum.
And then there's also that's the Johnny Cash version.
What's dead center of that spectrum? Like, I robbed somebody at gunpoint and had a Chianti. Well, like, what is the?
No, it's either everything's great, or I'm about
times.
to be executed for my crimes.
I know, but if it's a spectrum, there's something in the middle.
No, it's just that's country
it's a
living.
Binary.
It's a life of extremes. You either love your country, love your state, and honor God, or you die. That's pretty much all of it. The only two options you have
or you
out there in the
and
sticks.
Feel bad about it and die.
So, yeah. It's only
rap where you're either like partying in the club or you're murdering and feeling good about it.
It's when you move to the cities where you start having some more spectrum options. However you want to interpret that. I'm going to say the answer is 105 chicken flights go into the flight of this not-so-bumblebee.
Final answer?
Yep.
The correct answer is 105 chicken flights.
No, it's not.
The longest recorded chicken flight was 300 feet.
Oh, my goodness.
A plus 100%. We're going to let you be a physician's assistant for this one.
I don't know what to say. I would like to thank my mom. Goodness. Wow. Okay.
Your chicken flights.
I was not expecting to be so. I would celebrate, but people are sleeping in the room next to me, so yes. I mean, at this point, I've beaten Measure Up. Like I won. That was the final boss. It's one thing to like
plus 100 before.
I have one. The answer is like 1. I can sometimes guess like, oh, that's 1, but never when
Math
it's
was easy.
over 100.
And your burden was light.
There's lots of biblical references here. I mean, there's
going to be more, actually. Yeah, figs.
These figs aren't so barren. Like the barren fig tree. Okay, that's awesome. I'm so happy I got that right. I will rest on these laurels until the end of time.
Do you have any fast facts?
The next time that I am septillion off,
you'll just remember this victory.
I will remember this one. this victory. I may lose the war, but I won that battle. Fast facts, I have very few because a lot of them have to deal with the major fact, and we are already over time. So they live wherever figs grow, which is mostly the southern Europe, near the Mediterranean. So that includes Italy, Greece, other places, I'm sure, Turkey. Figs are very prevalent in around the Mediterranean. And we have had a lot of biblical references, and that's because most of the Bible takes place around the Mediterranean.
It's basically fig territory there. The Bible takes place in fig land.
Fig land. Mm-hmm. Figment. And the only thing I have is that they don't live very long. They have an interesting life cycle, which I'm sure we'll talk about, but it only lasts about a week at most.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't you tell us what the major fact is?
I'm calling this major fact fig friend. Figs are a unique plant in that their flowers are on the inside of the fruit. So if you ever cut a fig in twain, you can see all these like weird little like tendrils going inward towards the center of the fruit. Those are the flowers. But if you cut open a common fig, you're not really going to see that. We'll get into that later. But if the figs are on the inside, if the fig flowers are on the inside, how do they get pollinated? So there's a small opening inside in each fig, but it's so small that very few things can get inside. The fig opening is called the ostiole, by the way. Nice. However, small female fig wasps are able to slip into this hole, but it's such a tight squeeze that they lose their wings and antenna in the process. So we said like they'll travel 6 miles, find a fig, try to go in this little hole, and if they get in the little hole and rip their wings off, there's no one going back. They are the Elric brothers burning their house down, so there's no place to go back to. They're determined to win.
They're contortionists.
Yeah. This opening, this ostiole, leads to the internal cavity where the flowers are. As they navigate the fig's interior, they deposit their eggs within some of the flowers. Meanwhile, they also collect pollen. The pollen they have collected will pollinate the fig in during this process. So while they're laying eggs, they're also pollinating. The females lay eggs inside this like little opening, this little like, I forget what it's called, but it's like a little gall. They're called galls.
Are they unmitigated?
Flowers are perfect. Yes. They're unmitigated. And once they lay their eggs inside these galls, they die, providing nutrients to the fruit. The eggs laid by the female wasps develop into larvae within the fig's flower's ovaries. So apparently flowers have ovaries. And this which is what creates the structure that's called a gall. So these galls serve as protective environments for the wasp's larvae to grow and eventually transform into adults. In this phase, the fig provides the nourishment necessary for the wasps to grow, and it's shelter. Like, how are you going to eat an egg inside of a fig? You don't even know it's there. You're not climbing in the ostiole.
Yeah, but, you are living inside of food.
Fair enough. So once the wasp larvae mature, male and female wasps emerge from the fig. But first, the males emerge from their galls first and fertilize the females before they even hatch.
That's efficiency right there.
Efficiency and horror at the same time. The males then help either enlarge the ostiole or bore new tunnels through the fig, creating an opening for the females to exit. Some male wasps may break through the outer layer of the fig to feel the sunlight on their exoskeletons for a brief moment before dying. The females, now carrying fertilized eggs and the pollen from their birth fig, venture out into the wilds to find a new fig to lay their eggs in, continuing the cycle and bringing their birth fig pollen to a new fig. In some cases, the males exit the fig just before the females, just to throw themselves at predators that are waiting outside the fig, giving the females a chance to escape. You know, the kind of predators that hate figs but love wasps.
I can't think of one.
We got to get them out of there.
Like
we
a
bat. Figure out a way.
That's a bat that's not a fruit bat.
So the fig wasp benefits from this relationship by having a suitable environment for reproduction and a source of nourishment for their larvae. But on the other hand, the fig gains a reliable and efficient pollinator for their very difficult to reach flowers that ensures the production of seeds, contributing to its genetic diversity and overall survival. So this is true symbiosis. You'd think a bug living inside a fruit is not good for the fruit, but it is. Each species of fig has a corresponding species of fig wasp, showing a really high degree of specificity in this mutualistic relationship. But somehow, I'm not clear on how, but the ostiole is made to only allow specific fig wasps into it. So a specific species of fig wasp is made so that it can fit inside this ostiole perfectly, and other fig wasps can't. This specificity has developed through co-evolution. They develop at the same time, where both the fig and the fig wasp have adapted to one another's needs over time. It's the opposite of an arms race. It's like an arms race, but the arms are for hugging.
Throw up your arms into the sky and give me a hug.
So there is, this begs the question. When you eat figs, do you eat wasps? When will you eat figs? So I'm happy to report. I'm happy to report that you probably only eat fig wasps when you eat wild figs, which you probably don't do. You may know that figs are, we talked about it, mentioned in the Bible many times. They have been grown and eaten by humans for thousands of years. In the book of Samuel, uh, they found an Egyptian in the open country and brought him to David, and they gave him bread and he ate. They gave him water to drink, and they gave him a piece of cake of figs and 2 clusters of raisins. And his spirit was revived.
I think figs are mentioned in Job, which is supposed to be the oldest one.
Oldest book?
Oldest book, at least, yeah.
So we've been eating figs and growing figs for a long time. That means figs are pretty well domesticated, which means they depend on humans for survival and proliferation, and they no longer need pollinators like wasps. If you eat figs that are not the specific species called common fig, there is a small chance that you might be eating a wasp. But even those species have separate male and female trees, and wasps can only successfully lay eggs and reproduce fruit in the male trees. Which
the
I guess
whole tree is male or female?
Yes.
I didn't think that was a thing for plants. I thought they were all like hermaphroditic, if that's the word you use for plants.
But not fig trees. So apparently wasps can only do this process in a male fig tree. Figs in a male fig tree. And we, for some reason, only eat fruit from female fig trees. And I didn't have the bandwidth to figure out all of that because it's more about figs than wasps. But
maybe it's because there aren't wasps in the female ones.
But like, if you, even if you eat a wild fig or a non-common fig, a wasp would have had to accidentally wander into the female fruit, which she would probably try to get back out, but she might also die in there, and then you get a little extra protein.
Vitamins.
Yeah.
But also, like, just like look at what you're eating, and maybe you won't eat that many bugs.
It's a tiny bug inside of a fruit. Look at the inside of a fig. It's a mess in there.
It is a mess in there, but a lot's like, I mean, if I bit into a pomegranate, I'm going to check it for bugs.
Really?
And it's a mess in there too. I mean, what kind of fruit do you bite into besides like an apple and it's not a mess in there? Like, it's just a mess. And apples, I'm specifically like, there better not be a bug in here. There better not be a worm or whatever. I'm checking that.
But if you look at a fig, I've never thought about it, but if you look at a fig, all of those little tendrils are flowers. You're eating flowers.
Yeah, it's a little gross.
Yeah, don't look at it too long.
It's a little on that like cluster side.
It looks like the root in remnant, or it is a little clustery.
We recently got a strawberry where all of the seeds on the outside of the strawberry, which they're not the seeds. They're not strawberry seeds. I think the seeds are on the inside. But like, it was a weird like morphed strawberry to where it was all like, all of them were forced together in this one like spot, and it was horrifying. Because usually they're all spread out and kind of even, but this one was like, it was like a mouth. They were all pointed inward in this one like little orifice on the strawberry. I threw it over the fence. I don't want to bring that. I don't want that kind of evil in my house.
That being said, a strawberry is the opposite of a fig in terms of it looks so good.
That's because we like strawberries and we eat them.
We like figs.
Yeah, but like, it's not. There isn't a very strong association with the visual. Like, even the silhouette of a strawberry is like, yummy. That's a fruit I like. Whereas like a fig, it's like, it just looks like an onion if you just saw a silhouette of it. So we're just very attached to strawberries because they're a very common fruit in the U.S. But I'm sure if you lived around the Mediterranean, it would be a fig.
You would look longingly at Google image pictures of a fig, like I'm doing with straws right now.
With those delicious straws. I mean, I love passion fruit, but man, I don't want to look at it at all.
You don't have a passion for its looks.
I don't have a passion for its looks, but I want to eat it.
Oh man, it looks disgusting. It looks like a bunch of. It looks like a larva inside of an egg.
A passion fruit?
Yes.
Yeah, it's rough. It's. I mean, it's like a pomegranate full of jelly, full of yeah, clear jelly. But it tastes so good.
Well, that's all I got.
All right.
My sister sent me a video of this, and it was like horrifying. But I'm so glad to learn. Like, I think the video was like, we probably eat wasps and figs. And
check your Fig
don't.
Newton for wasps.
We probably don't. I don't eat much wasp. Sometimes a pomegranate looks like a bowl of macaroni.
And macaroni is delicious, so we're right back where we started.
It's like someone hollowed out a plum and stuck some
mac and cheese in there.
Some Kraft.
All right, that's the fig wasp. For you out there in Podcastia, hatch out of your cocoon, settle into a nice juicy fig, and have the gall to find your true home, like a fig wasp here in life, death, and taxonomy.
Hey Taxonomy Titans, I just want to remind you that we now have a Patreon. Patrons can see full video episodes and get shoutouts on the show. But ultimately, it's a way for you to help us cover some costs and get even better. Still, reviews are the best way to help us grow. So if you haven't left one yet, we'd really love to hear from you. As always, thanks for listening and engaging.
My favorite in the world podcast.
Was that good planning, or did you write that while we were doing it?
That was good planning. I was hoping you
would
mention the gall.
The unmitigated gall.
The audacity, the impudence, the unmitigated gall.